I'm kind of doing the same thing. This will be my fourth phone call today, fourth coaching call today, so I'm all kinds of fired up. Be the first chance I really get a chance to talk to you, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. It's tell you what, it's been a crazy week for me. It's been good though.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Why has it been so crazy?
Yeah. Well, just business has been pouring in. I mean, I think we've Josh just took, my loan partner just took our, I think, 15th or 16th application for the week. So.
But you don't need to talk to me then, brother. You need to get back to writing loans.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I was tempted to like call you, like, dude, I'm just so swamped. But you know, I couldn't miss our first call.
Well, listen, and then this is the honest to God truth with it. My talking to you and helping you out at any level is really predicated on when you have the time and when you're ready. All I'm wanting to do is help you get, you know, more consistent business. You don't have a problem getting business, period. But if you're trying to build a business where you don't have to be the sole provider, meaning you can build a business where your database and your relationships are referring you and you don't really have to do much besides service the business that comes in, that's what I'm after. So, I mean, with where you're at and you're busy, and I get it, man. I don't want you to feel like this is a mandatory call. I'm available to you when you want me. So when you want to sit down and talk, whether it's, you know, whether it's at an event or whether I'm coming down to hang out with you guys or we want to do weekly calls, semi-monthly calls, you tell me. But by no means do I want to interrupt your growth with regards to loans coming in, because, man, you got to make hay when the sun shines.
Yeah, no, and I understand. I mean, I think I appreciate that, but at the same time, you know, you got to make time for the right activities as well. And so,
right.
you know, that's why I didn't cancel the call. Like, you know, can I take 30 minutes? Yes. Do I have 17 things to do? Yes. But you know,
I know.
But
it's never a perfect time.
But yeah, we also fired 2 people this week, so that was interesting.
Who'd you let go?
We let go our DSP manager, which was a long time coming, and then we let go Erica's loan partner. So.
Okay.
And then last week we let go our processor, one of our processors, and then Tony's loan partner quit. So we've had, it's like a ghost town over here, man. We've had four people exit. But I have already hired. We've already hired 3 new ones already. So.
Okay. Good. So where can I be, or where can I provide you, or how can I help you in the best way possible with the least amount of involvement? I mean, where do you see yourself struggling that you could use some guidance in?
Well, you know, I think last time we talked, you know, we were talking about kind of the different pillars, and I'm just kind of open to you know, other ways of getting business. So I sent out a mailer to my database. And it was just a letter, a mail. I hate using the word mailer because that sounds like a. But this was a heartfelt letter that was given my database an update about me and my family, and I had pictures of my girls, and it was just, you know, just kind of a hello. And so far, I've received four referrals. Actually, just got the 5th one today from that letter.
Great.
So just
huge.
Maybe build on that a bit. You know, like
sure.
You know, just kind of like what else?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. So I want you to write these 4 letters down from top to bottom. CARE. Okay. Did we talk about this the last time?
No.
Okay. CARE.
CAR. Oh.
Nope. C as in cat.
Okay.
What does that spell?
Care.
Okay. So I ask my team, I ask my LOs, how do you show your clients and your employees that you want to care about them? And for me, the definition of caring is create a referable experience. Plain and simple.
Okay.
You don't have any problem driving in business. You have a database. You have people that would refer you if you asked. The problem is that you aren't the one that's communicating to the client throughout the entire process, are you? You have somebody else handle that for you, correct?
Correct.
So you have a disconnect. If Heath was the one that was handling the loan from A to Z, do you believe that you would see a greater amount of client referrals coming in than what you're currently experiencing?
Well, so I don't know how to answer. I mean, I'm not sure of the answer to that. So my name is still on everything, and we use the verbiage that my loan partner uses is always Heath asked me to. It's kind of like that Dr. Butler script that they taught us in the Freedom Club. So yeah, so I'm very much still at the forefront of their mind, and when we also do the Just Ask scripts throughout the process. And so,
okay, what is the Just Ask script? I'm curious because you're the second person today that's told me about it. I've seen it once, I've heard it once. Can you remind me, what is the Just Ask script?
So, whenever you're talking to a client throughout the process, whether it's a client, whether it's a buyer's agent or a listing agent, we're asking for more referrals. So there's opportunities to ask for more referrals while you're going through the process. And the idea behind it is, the buyer is talking to all their friends and family about how excited they are that they're going to buy a house. So, we don't ask. We usually ask them on the first update, like once the loan's been submitted to underwriting and we got an approval. We'll give them a call and say, hey, good news, we got an approval. Just a couple more conditions that we got to get through, and kind of go like that. And then at the end of the conversation, by the way, do you know of anyone else right now that's looking to buy a home or looking to sell their home?
I love it. It's exactly what I thought it was. So let me give you a different spin on that, and let me improve the Just Ask campaign. So when you enter into a relationship with somebody, we always do our best to put our best foot forward, correct? We want to create a favorable first impression.
Yes.
Do you believe that when you talk to somebody for the very first time, that it would hurt or help you by setting the stage of expectations that you have of them as you set the stage of expectations that you're going to provide to them? Meaning you're going to provide them with, you're going to provide them with honest answers. You're going to be committed to communicating with them. You're going to provide them the rate and the fees and everything else that you're committing to. So you're setting a very high standard for what you're going to do, but there's really no expectation from the client besides getting back to us when we need you to in a timely fashion. Is that pretty fair?
Yes.
Okay. So the problem with the Just Ask process isn't the fact that you're asking. It more has to do with when you ask, and it has more to do with why you ask. The truth in the matter is that when a client enters into a relationship with you, you're making agreements around financials, but you're not making agreements around why you're doing what you do. You're doing what you do because you're just a really good guy. You're a great business owner. You do what you think is absolutely in the client's best interest every time, time in and time again. And that's fantastic. The problem is that the consumer, like I've always said this, and even the realtors, they don't know what they don't know. So they don't really understand what really goes on behind the scenes. They don't really understand the turmoil and the tsunami of challenges sometimes that happen to the loan. And what we end up doing is we end up putting a lot more work into a transaction than the client ever realizes. And the truth is that we never really tell the clients about it, but more importantly, we don't really do a good enough job setting the bar of expectation up front. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
I believe that before I talk about one thing of mortgages, I want my client to listen to what I have to say. Like, I don't want them just to hear me. I want them to listen. Is that fair? I mean, you know the difference between listening and hearing?
Yes.
Somebody who hears you. Somebody who listens is actually processing the information. So before I enter into anything with regards to the mortgages, I always set the stage of who I am and why I do what I do. And this is an important part of the process because as we go through the stages of the loan, my team was always accountable to care. They were always responsible to create a referable experience. They learned how to orchestrate the moments in which a client would say, thank you, or I appreciate that. There's a difference between going through and doing a job and disseminating information versus somebody who understands the value of not just satisfying the client, but making the client happy and excited. And when a client acknowledges that, then turning the Just Ask campaign into who do you know to respond with, hey Heath, thanks for noticing. I know that when you met with me the first time, I told you that my business is completely referred and we count on people just like you to refer us. As we're going through the process, I just want to remind you, we're counting on you to not keep us a secret.
Yeah.
We would love to work with somebody you care about. Now, the Just Ask campaign is great because it at least gets you to do the request. The problem is that if the stage is not set in the beginning, you're losing out on probably about 50% of the effectiveness because the client didn't agree to that in the beginning. Meaning the client didn't agree that they were going to refer you because you did a good job. You didn't make that an abundantly clear agreement in the beginning. And not to say that you have to, but my belief, like I said, I mean, I was not a mega producer. I mean, I did 15 million my last year, but where the business came from, I think really speaks volumes to the process. 63% of that 15 million came from my past clients and current clients. And so what it told me is that my clients were abundantly clear that my business counted on them. And because I counted on them, they got the absolute best advice, whether it meant that I did the loan or not. And they got 100% of my attention and my team's attention as we went through the process. So the Just Ask campaign is a great tool. It's a great lure. But what I want to do is teach you how to fish with that lure a little bit better. And that starts with when you talk to your clients, however you set the stage, adding a couple things in there that help really just kind of amplify the fact that you were referred to us. There is a relationship there that means the world to me. So let's just use Kevin Broughton as an example. I think Kevin is amazing at his job. And the fact that he put you in touch with me makes me feel like I have some really big shoes to fill. So my ultimate goal with you, Heath, is at the very least, whether we talk once a month or we talk once a year, is to have you go back to Kevin and say thank you. If I do that, then I've created a amplified relationship between you and Kevin. You know that Kevin cares about you enough to think about me working with you, and you respect and appreciate Kevin because he cared enough to do that for you.
Yeah.
By default, guess what happens between my relationship with you? It gets amplified. I become a much higher value to you, and you know what the byproduct is? My relationship with Kevin gets amplified. I call that the triangle of trust. I call that my business model. That's my brand. My brand is not mortgages. My brand was always about amplifying relationships. And the reason that was because I don't have to do loans to amplify relationships. I just have to get enough people thinking about me and talking about me to other people, and they know that I do mortgages. I don't have to tell them.
Right.
So the process of setting the stage in the beginning, here's what it leads to. The process leads to a better understanding of how your clients can repay you. It becomes a better benchmark to separate the A players in your team versus the B players. The B players do their job. They disseminate information. They do the Just Ask. But the A players are the ones that actually create referable moments and orchestrate them to generate referrals. If you start to increase your current client referrals, what happens to all those current clients? They become past clients. they become an army of people that if you communicate with them on a regular basis, they'd be more than happy to continue to help you because you've essentially done right by them. And it all starts, in my belief, it all starts with the very first phone call, because then your team has a. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
Well, I just want to talk about that a little bit. So on the first phone call,
yep.
So whether I'm taking an application or when I say application, so this is how we operate right now. We'll get either a referral, emailed to us or sent to us. Hey, my realtor Bob. Hey, call this person.
Yep.
And so then we'll reach out or they'll reach out to us. And so I guess that first conversation is really where
paramount.
You're setting you're setting the stage. Okay. All right.
And the setting the stage has to happen before you start talking about loans, and here's why. Once they get the information they're seeking regarding loans, all you say after that, they just hear. They don't really listen. Okay. You make it a prerequisite. So go ahead.
So not every person that's referred to us we get approved. I mean, we get a lot of turndowns, right?
That's even more of a reason why you have to have that before you talk about mortgages.
Right. Okay. So that's what I was wondering.
You know why?
If I'm talking, why?
Because every person you talk to is a chance to have them talk to somebody they care about you. And it gives you a chance to do what I said before. See, my job is to amplify relationships. So if you were referred by Kevin and you ended up not being a client that I could do business with because you had a low credit score, I don't want you to know about that low credit profile until I've told you what I need from you. I need you to go back to Kevin and say thank you. At the very least, whatever we discussed today, I want you to know that my number one goal is to get you to go back to Kevin. So even when I don't get a loan, remember I said that earlier, it's not always about getting a mortgage. Sometimes it's just about making the referral source glad that they know you. Sometimes it's just about making that referral source feel good because they got somebody calling them and go, hey, listen, he can't help me, but man, he was a wealth of information. I truly appreciate your time. And, he said for me to call you and say thank you, so I just want to let you know that he did right by me. Thank you very much. See, even if you don't do the loan, you still plant that seed. You still condition that referral source to understand that you're still at the forefront of what their needs are, what their desires are, which is helping them grow their business. And you'd be amazed, and I'm sure you've had this happen, some of the smallest loan amounts have turned into some of the biggest referrals for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of ironic how that works. And so I don't look at people as loans as much as I look at people as who do you know? Not who's on your Facebook page. Not always, well, in my time it was who you know because Facebook wasn't as relevant as it is now and Instagram. So it was always who you knew. Now it's more who do you care about? I believe that every person that I talk to, before I talk one thing about mortgages, and we can break this down at a later date on our next call, but my conversation was really broken down into 5 points when somebody called me for the first time. And I'll just start with the opening one because I think it's the most impactful, and there's a lot of subliminal things that happen, and just kind of role play with me, and I'll share with you what it means. So you would call me, or I would call you, and I would say, hey Heath, Doug Catter here. Bob referred you to me, and I wanted to talk to you. Did he tell you I was going to be calling? Oh yeah, he told me I would be calling. I would always, this is without fail, go, so let me ask you a real quick question, Heath. What did Bob say about me that made you feel like I would be a good person to help you with this? And then I would be quiet. And you know what I would hear? All of the things that Bob said about me to you. And you know what you're saying to me? All the things that he said that were important to you, you are repeating to me. So I always heard the word, I could trust you. He said you're a person I could trust and that you were really good and that you're on top of things and you're a really good communicator. That information became what shoes I needed to fill for that particular client. If I had a client tell me that Bob said that you could trust me and that I was the perfect person, I don't need to worry about mortgage rates or fees. I just had to continue to build trust. That was my goal. And so initially, and almost immediately, it would turn into, you know what, Heath, that's amazing. Because that's the same thing I think about Bob. I loved working with Bob. He was such a great person to work with. And I can only imagine, because you two know each other, that you're probably very similar. And I believe that my business is really designed to establish a high layer of trust with my clients. And I believe that's why Bob wanted to refer me, because he knows that I will take great care of you and that you can trust me. Because at the end of this whole conversation, no matter what happens with us today, Heath, I know that you're going to go back to Bob and say thank you, because that's what matters most to me. And then I would go into, there's other 4 steps that I would go into that probably take another 7 to 10 minutes to talk about. But the stage that I'm setting establishes, just with that dialogue, the triangle of trust without really talking about it. And now I've got the client feeling it. Now I've got the client understanding it. Now I've got the client starting to think like a human being and looking at me like an advisor or a consultant or a person, where now I'm starting to differentiate myself from being a tool or a rate or a fee, because now they can see the value in my business having a greater impact on them because I know a person that they know.
Yeah, I mean, I completely understand that. I mean, I can see how much impact that would definitely have on a client on that first conversation.
Right. And you know what the cool part is? When the client starts talking to you about the things that Bob said, what do you think happens to them? They start feeling really good about their decision to talk to you, because they're talking to you about all the positives. So their anxiety level decreases, and you don't have to say anything. You let them talk. Bob said it all. You're just repeating whatever you thought was relevant. You're repeating to me, which helps me diagnose exactly what I need for you. And I haven't said 2 words except ask 1 question.
Right.
Which then leads into, let me tell you a little bit about my business. You know, you're going to learn, I'm going to learn so much about you, Heath. The problem is that you don't really know who's on this end of the telephone. And as much as I want to talk to you about it, I've got to get some of these things, you know, in place so that you understand where I'm coming from, because our business is done quite differently than most mortgage companies. See, I believe in this thing called the triangle of trust. I believe that your happiness with me has a greater impact on Bob than it does me, because my goal is to get you to go back to Bob and say thank you. And if I can't do that, then I've really burned 3 bridges. My bridge with you, which is barely established, my bridge with Bob, which has been around for quite a while, and so there's a lot of effort that it takes to get to this point. But more importantly, that I'm afraid of is your relationship with Bob. I don't want that to be strained. So you can trust and rest assured that everything that we're going to do is about making sure that you go back to Bob and say thank you, irregardless if you decide to use me. Now, what you hear in that little presentation is 2 different powerful statements. One is the value of working with me in your language, Heath, not mine. Your value system has been described what's in it for you, not what's in it for me. See, it's not about me. I'm putting it all onto you. This is the value you're going to see out of me. And then the next thing is, I've now effectively communicated that I come from a position of want, not need. See, my business is very particular. I only want to work with people who understand this value. And for me, as much as you're sitting on the end of the phone thinking if I'm the right person to help you through the process, I also am trying to decide if you're the right client for my business. So as we go through the conversation, I want you to know it's okay that if at the end of it you decide I'm not the right person, but I also want you to be okay with me telling you at the end of that conversation not be the right fit, not because I want your business, but because I can't deliver on the time frame or what is your desires or what your realities are, and if we can't get through that, it doesn't make sense for me to take you on. It makes more sense for me to tell you the truth, tell you honestly, maybe give you some advice on which direction to go in or maybe to rethink it, But again, at the end of the day, I just want you to go back to Bob and say thank you. Is that fair?
Yeah. So yeah, so I noticed 4 times you mentioned going back to Bob and thanking him. So like that's another subliminal message, subliminal message.
Yeah, you got it.
And yeah, no, I love that, dude. I do. That's awesome.
But why? But here's the value in it. Regardless if you do the mortgage, Bob is going to be amplified. And if he gets a call 3 out of 4 times and it ends up not being somebody that you can do business with, but that one comes through, he's going to feel grateful that he was finally able to refer somebody of value to you. Because more often than feel disappointed when they get all the accolades and you're not getting any business out of it.
Yeah.
That's the other concept that happens kind of behind. And so the reality, everything that goes on with this, it starts with the initial consultation, initial conversation. And if you can get that into your repertoire, something you do on every phone call before you talk about one social security number, anything, you have a captured audience, and now they understand why you do what you do. And they'll understand if they end up going through you and you working with them, why your team does the just ask. Then it becomes, how do we train the team to care? How do we train the team to create referrals so that as they ask through the process, there's an incentive. There's a moment of reciprocity that is created because your team has orchestrated those situations and they don't just ask. Because just asking doesn't lead to a referral. It accidentally does sometimes because of the nature of the business, but you're losing about 50% of your opportunities of people talking about you to the people they care by not setting the stage and making agreement. And that's how I usually ended the initial presentation, or the initial, if we decide to work together, I need you to understand that not only do I expect you to go back to Bob and say thank you, but we want you to become an advocate of our business. See, our goal is to have you thrilled and happy with what you experience with us, that you're going to be compelled to want to refer somebody you care about to us. And ultimately, my team and I, our sole purpose, it's to close your loan on time, and we will do all that. That's the bare expectation. But I want you to realize that I want you to be a Bob for me. I want you to talk to the people in your life that you care about. And my team and I will, as we go through the process, we'll let you know and just kind of remind you. And every time, without fail, the response was, absolutely. You do right by me, I will do right by you. That's the greatest business model I've ever heard. I love that. That's exactly what I wanted. I can't believe you talk like that's how I felt. That's what why can't everybody talk like you? How come not everybody that I've talked to doesn't sound like you? These are things that I've heard from my clients, which is, it's great because the client gets it. They feel the genuineness. They feel the sincerity. They feel like they can trust you. Now they understand why they want to trust you. Now they understand what's at stake. And it's not about you. It's about them, which is the art of the presentation, which now your audience understands. And so as your team effectively goes through the process and creates those moments, the asking part of it seems more natural. You get a better response from it, and you get to have more fun because it's part of the agreement that you set when you first agreed to start doing business together.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just the way I did it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I can definitely see the impact on that, or in that conversation for sure. I mean, it's completely different than what I do.
But you're successful. Different. You're hugely successful. But you're hugely successful. So it's not a matter of having to do it. That's the part where I think a lot of people they struggle with it because it's not something that you have to be good at to be successful. But if you're trying to build a business that doesn't require you to wake up every morning and have to go push business in, you're having conversation with clients anyway. Why don't you use that moment to help promote your business in a way that gets more people talking to you? And if you do 100
Oh,
transactions
absolutely.
a year, I mean, so you get to the point where instead of you having to cold call realtors and do coffee appointments, you pretty soon find that you're getting referrals that don't have agents, and now you become the person that has the value because the consumer has seen you as being more valuable, and because of the way you were referred, they come to you before anybody else, and now you can kind of control who gets what. I gave
Yeah.
25 purchase transactions out my last year. 25 purchase
Wow.
transactions, and that wasn't the listings. So there may have been listings as part of that, but I gave 25 purchase transactions to 5 agents that I worked with. That was it. I gave each of them 5.
Holy cow. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, to be able to to have that added value to the agents is, I love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
But look at what happens. Look at what happens to your business then. You no longer have to chase the realtors if you don't want to. You now have a business that's more proactive because you have an audience that's out there servicing you. And the best part is that our clients are glad to talk about us and glad to help us if we set the stage correctly up front and we ask.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I completely think that adding that type of conversation to the beginning of our, consultation is huge. So, yeah, I think it's great, man. I think I could, train my loan partner to have those conversations as well. Just because I don't want to. I mean, I like the fact that I'm not handling all of the upfront stuff.
Right.
I know that's not how you did it, but he
no,
can,
I didn't handle it at all. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
When you say upfront stuff, so my initial phone call, that literally was one of my 5 points of contact, and my conversation ended there, and I said, you know what? Now I want to put you over to my team, and they'll collect your information. And what happened was my team would email them an outline that they would fill out and send back, and we would go ahead and put all the information in the mortgage builder and create a loan application for them. And then I met with them again when they came in for an appointment, because I met with most of my clients, and I reiterated it. I did the doctor-nurse introduction to my team, what we're about, again reiterated the value of the relationship and who they came from, shook their hands, and then left. And then I called them at the date when the appraisal got in, I called them on the approval, and I called them on the clear to close. That was it. That's all the involvement I had. But those were orchestrated moments for me that gave me the best chance to earn a referral, because at the end of every call, I was either solving a problem, i.e. an appraisal or a condition. That's why I was calling them then. I would always get a thank you or a wow or I appreciate that. And what would I respond with? Hey, Heath, thanks for noticing. Remember, I'm counting on you to refer me to somebody you care about. I'd love for you to I'd love for you to get a thank you like you did with Bob. And that's the only reason. I didn't get into the loans because I wanted to. I got into the loans because I knew that I could get a thank you by giving some sort of information or solving some problem. And those are the 5 points of contact for me. And outside of that, my team handled the rest. But my team was also responsible to generate current client referrals. That was how I could disseminate between an A player and a B player.
Yeah. If on how many leads they brought in.
Absolutely, because if I'm setting the stage in the beginning, if I'm setting the stage in the beginning and everyone is clearly aware of the agreement between the realtor and the client, and they all understand that, then my team, their sole job is to care. Just care. Show me you care. Prove to me you care. You want an increase in pay? Show me you care. You want a promotion? Show me you care. And you know how you can prove to me that you care? How many current client referrals are we getting every month?
Right.
Creating a referable experience is how I judged whether I was working with a B player or an A player.
Yeah, I like it. Well, yeah. So let's do this next time. Let's do you have the scripting written out somewhere, or I mean, just
no, but,
obviously it takes.
I recorded this call.
Okay, perfect.
So I have other calls, and so let me tell you something about me and scripting. I'm not very good at the written word. Like, I can type out a script. The truth is, because I've done this for so long, it just comes from my heart. And so recording it at least gives you the chance to hear the genuineness in it, and you can type it out for yourself if that's what you want. But the beautiful part about it is that it's never the same conversation exactly twice. It's the same message, but the words in the conversation might be slightly different. And so what it gives me is a chance to tailor make it to the audience that I'm talking to, much the same as when you talk to your clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I completely understand that, because every client it's gonna be a little bit different. I guess just grasping the main concepts and making sure that you hit on those concepts when it's new to me. Having some kind of written out script. Not that I'm going to read it verbatim or anything like that, but just
I have a triangle. I have the Triangle of Trust script that I can send you, which is typed out like in a conversation format, kind of like what I talked to you about. But I also have other replays that I have gone over with other LOs on the whole presentation of the the 5 bullet points. And I also have one that I did for loan partners. See, I coach some loan partners as well, so I can send you the replay that I use to coach the loan partner on what their value is and how they can communicate their value to the client and how they can create and orchestrate more moments that lead them to creating better opportunities for the branch, which inevitably leads to a better income potential, a greater job security, and some of them eventually becoming their own originator for the branch.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if you can teach a loan partner how to fish, like I'm explaining to you, because that's how I got into the business. I was somebody's loan partner for 4 years. There was no internet training. There was no Xinex training. There was no leadership. None of that existed. I just was trial and fire, trial by fire. So I learned the hard way, which took me 4 years. But I've realized that I can train people in a much quicker time frame if they buy into the concept. But at the end of the day, it's about creating a culture in your branch. Because if your branch has that culture, you will attract better realtors. You will attract more clients. You will attract you attract a whole nother layer of business that doesn't require you to actually have to be in a me business anymore. Wouldn't it be nice to be in a they business where you show up and they take care of everything, because your momentum has turned into them talking like you, them creating situations like you would, and what you do is you spend your day helping them and benchmarking to to the results that you're looking for. That's just kind of how I see it.
Yeah, no, I would definitely see the value in creating that amongst the branch, amongst the team, essentially. But yeah, cool, man. Well, if you can shoot me over whatever you have. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I will. I'm not in the office today, but I will definitely send it over to you tomorrow.
Okay. Well, man, that sounds good. I sure appreciate the time and the information for sure. And
helpful.
We'll just yeah, it was definitely helpful.
Good. So we'll take this on a weekly basis, and let's see what we can build with it. I've got a lot of stuff that I can share that I've been working with over the last couple of years that I have now created into a system of training. So if there's a point where you want to put your loan partner on a call with me, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. Not yet, but in the near future. Or what I like to say is learn it, then you be the teacher to your loan partner so that you're the prize. Like, I want to make your life easier, but I don't want to be the person that they look to become better at their craft. I want you to be that person, if it makes sense, so that you become more of the prize to them and they have a little bit more loyalty and a lot more reason to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely. I see how that could have an effect on them, because then they're looking to me as the person that taught them that information or helped them, grow.
Yes.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much, and I'm gonna actually get back at it here, and let's just plan on doing another call next week.
Next week, same time, same channel, my friend. We'll talk to you then. I'll send you the replay along with the scripting when I get done with it.
Awesome. That sounds great, man. Have a good day.
All right, buddy. Take care, buddy.
Okay.
You too.
Bye-bye.